In football, one Champions League can keep a club glowing for years, but even giants cannot live on old glory forever. Across Europe, some massive teams are still staring at trophies won in another era, and by number 1, the wait becomes shocking.
Football's more than a game. It's passion, pride, glory. This World Cup season, Goal90 brings you our biggest offer yet. Buy 3 jerseys and get 1 free. That's 4 jerseys for the price of 3. And yes, free worldwide shipping. This is a limited time World Cup special only until April the 30th. So move fast. Pick your jerseys. Wear your passion. Own the moment before they're gone. Visit Goal90 shop. Link in the description.
Number 10, Bayern Munich, 6 years. Bayern last won the Champions League in 2020. They beat Paris Saint-Germain 1-0 in the final when Kingsley Coman scored the only goal. Hansi Flick was the coach, and that team had Manuel Neuer, Thomas Muller, Robert Lewandowski, and a machine-like press that crushed teams all season. One of the biggest moments came a few days earlier when they smashed Barcelona 8-2 in the quarter-finals. Muller scored twice, Lewandowski got 1, Felipe Coutinho came off the bench and scored twice against his parent club, and the whole game felt unreal. So how dusty is the cabinet really? Not very, if we are being honest. Bayern have stayed close. They reached the semi-finals in 2024, and this year they reached the 2025-26 semi-finals too, after beating Real Madrid 6-4 on aggregate. Time to rub the dust off. Number 9, Liverpool, 7 years. Liverpool last lifted the trophy in 2019. They beat Tottenham 2-0 in Madrid. Mohamed Salah scored from the penalty spot early, and Divock Origi finished it late. Jurgen Klopp was the coach, and that side had Salah, Mane, Firmino, Van Dijk, Alisson, and the kind of energy that made every game feel dangerous. But the night most people remember best was not the final. It was the semi-final comeback against Barcelona. Liverpool lost the first leg 3-0, then won 4-0 at Anfield, with 2 from Jorginho Wijnaldum and 2 from Origi, including the famous corner taken quickly goal. Liverpool have come close since then, very close. They reached the final again in 2022 and lost only 1-0 to Real Madrid, some may argue only because of Thibaut Courtois' heroic performance that night. That is why their weight feels heavier than 7 years should. Number 8, Barcelona, 11 years. A club like Barcelona is almost always included in the top 5 clubs talk, so 11 years without this trophy already sounds strange. Barcelona last won it in 2015. They beat Juventus 3-1 in Berlin. Ivan Rakitic scored first, Alvaro Morata equalised, then Luis Suarez and Neymar finished the job. Luis Enrique was the coach, and the attack was ridiculous: Messi, Suarez, Neymar. That front three made Barca look unfair. They also gave the club one of its most famous modern nights 2 years later, the 6-1 comeback against PSG after losing the first leg 4-0. But Barca have also lived through some ugly European scars, like that 8-2 loss to Bayern or 4-0 loss to Roma. And recently, they have not been truly close to the trophy. This year, they went out in the quarter-finals to Atletico Madrid, losing 3-2 on aggregate. That is the point with Barcelona. The club is still massive. The title, though, keeps staying out of reach. Number 7, Inter Milan, 16 years. Inter last won the Champions League in 2010. They beat Bayern Munich 2-0 in the final, and Diego Milito scored both goals. Jose Mourinho was the coach, and that team had Milito, Sneijder, Eto'o, Zanetti, Lucio, and the hard-edged Mourinho sides are famous for. It was not just a title, it was a treble season, and it felt like the perfect hit-and-run job on Europe. Inter was smart, mean and deadly when chances came. Unlike some clubs here, Inter have truly been close again. In 2023, they reached the final and lost only 1-0 to Manchester City, with Rodri scoring the winner. Then in 2025, they made the final again, only to be destroyed 5-0 by PSG, with Hakimi, Doué twice, Kvaratskhelia and Mayulu scoring. So Inter's story is not just old glory, it is recent pain too. They are back in the late rounds, they just have not landed the last punch. Number 6, Manchester United, 18 years. Manchester United last won it in 2008. The final against Chelsea ended 1-1 in Moscow. Cristiano Ronaldo scored for United, Frank Lampard equalised, and then United won 6-5 on penalties. That was drama from start to finish. Rain, pressure, missed chances, and one of the most nerve-shredding shootouts in Champions League history. It felt like the perfect European ending for one great Ferguson side. But here is where it gets rough. United did return to the final in 2011, only to lose 3-1 to Barcelona again. Since then, they have not come truly close to winning the competition again. Number 5, AC Milan, 19 years. AC Milan last won the Champions League in 2007, 19 years. They beat Liverpool 2-1 in Athens. Filippo Inzaghi scored both Milan goals and Dirk Kuyt got one back late. Carlo Ancelotti was the coach and that team was full of class. Kaká, Pirlo, Seedorf, Gattuso, Nesta, Maldini. The final mattered even more because it felt like revenge. 2 years earlier, Milan had led Liverpool 3-0 in Istanbul and still lost. In 2007, they came back, stayed calm and finished the story the right way. Milan's history is huge, so the weight feels heavier here. They are 7-time European champions, not a club with one lucky run. Still, they have not truly threatened the trophy often in recent years. Their most serious recent push came in 2022-23 when they reached the semi-finals and lost to Inter 3-0 on aggregate. Not close enough to really grab the trophy. Number 4, Porto. 22 years. Porto last won the Champions League in 2004. They beat Monaco 3-0 in the final. Carlos Alberto opened the scoring, Deco made it 2, and Dmitry Alenichev added the third. Jose Mourinho was on the bench, and the team had Deco, Ricardo Carvalho, Maniche, Paulo Ferreira, and a clear plan that bigger clubs could not break. Porto were not just the surprise team. In that final, they were simply better. That is why the run still feels so famous. It was clever, bold, and complete. After that, the near misses were not really near enough. Porto have had some good nights and a few solid runs, but no real charge at the trophy. Their best recent push came in 2021, when they reached the quarter-finals and lost 2-1 on aggregate to Chelsea. One great title, one special coach, and then a long wait. Number 3, Juventus, 30 years. Juventus last won the Champions League in 1996. The final against Ajax ended 1-1. Fabrizio Ravanelli scored for Juve, Jari Littmanen equalised and Juventus won 4-2 on penalties. Marcello Lippi was the coach and that Juve side had Del Piero, Vialli, Deschamps, Conte and the hard-edge Italian teams used to bring to Europe. For a club this big though, the wild part is not the win, it is the gap since then. 30 years is far too long for Juventus. And this one hurts because Juve have had real shots. In 2015 they reached the final and lost 3-1 to Barcelona. In 2017, they made it again and lost 4-1 to Real Madrid. They had Buffon, Chiellini, Bonucci, Pirlo before that, then stars like Dybala, Higuain and later Ronaldo in other years, yet the title never came back. So Juventus do not just have dust, they have regret. Their cabinet still points to 1996 because every newer chance slipped away. Number 2, Ajax, 31 years. Ajax last won the Champions League in 1995. They beat AC Milan 1-0 in Vienna and Patrick Kluivert scored the winner late in the game. It was a young side, fearless and full of life. The kind of team people still talk about because it felt fresh even on the biggest stage. Ajax should never feel small in Europe. Their history is too rich and their football identity is too strong for that. But the wait is now 31 years and the pain is not just old, it is also fresh. In 2019, Ajax reached the semi-finals, beat Real Madrid 4-1 at the Bernabeu and knocked out Juventus too. Then came the heartbreak. Tottenham knocked them out in the semi-finals on away goals after a 3-3 aggregate tie. Every so often, they rise again and remind everybody who they are. Then the door slams shut at the worst moment. Number 1, Arsenal, Spurs and Atletico Madrid, 71 years. This is the cruelest spot on the list because these clubs are not waiting for another Champions League. They are still waiting for the first one. Arsenal came closest in 2006. They led Barcelona 1-0 through Sol Campbell, then lost 2-1 after goals from Samuel Eto'o and Giuliano Belletti. Spurs reached the 2019 final and lost 2-0 to Liverpool with Mohamed Salah and Divock Origi scoring. Atletico have their own pain. In 2014, they led Real Madrid through Diego Godin before Sergio Ramos forced extra time and Real won 4-1. In 2016, Atletico drew 1-1 with Real after goals from Ramos and Yannick Carrasco, then lost on penalties. 3 different kinds of pain. Arsenal have the big club pressure, Atletico have scar tissue, Spurs have the memory of a door that opened once and then shut again. That is worse than dust. That is emptiness in the one room every giant club wants to own. The Champions League is ruthless like that. One great night can last forever, but the silence after it gets louder every year. Which club on this list needs a new European run the most? Drop it in the comments, like the video, subscribe, and stay with Goal 90 for more football stories under pressure.